Nowadays, it seems difficult for games that identify themselves as a survival horror to capture a pants-sweating atmosphere, when you're practically armed to the teeth. And frankly, it's hard to feel vulnerable when you're playing a 20-something-year-old male in his physical prime, let alone wielding a steel pipe. So let's try something new. Okay, I think we have everything for a creepy atmosphere. Homicidal maniacs, check. Weak protagonist, check. Creepy piano playing, okay, check. And monsters popping out every which way to scare the shit out of you, check. So let's find out if the rest of Clock Tower 3 is up to par with survival horror standards. In Clock Tower 3, you play as a soon-to-be 15-year-old girl named Alyssa, who receives a letter from her mother telling her to stay away, but after a mysterious phone call, she gets suckered into coming home. Upon arrival, she is greeted by a menacing stranger with unclear motives.
I've been waiting so long for this moment.
Get away from me!
Now normally that'd be enough incentive for anyone to haul ass out of there, but not Alyssa, who's really longing for her mother.
Mum? Hello? Mum? Mum? I'm back! Mum? Mum? Where are you, Mum?
So it's up to you to stay alive long enough to find out where your mother is. Now I should say this game is very graphic, with some shocking cutscenes, so those faint of heart to stay clear. I felt the story was a mixed bag. While I liked the backstory of the killers and how they were introduced, it was only the first two that seemed interesting, and I felt the developers kind of just slapped together the remaining killers. And it doesn't help the story is told in boring multi-page text, and once it started repeating itself and going into a supernatural direction, I kinda lost interest. Throughout the game you'll encounter restless spirits and psychopaths, while gameplay consists of standard survival horror rudimentary fetching and placing puzzles. By returning items to the corpses you find, you free their spirit, as well as receive items or key items. Much like the previous installments, you have a panic meter. Whenever Alyssa is frightened or attacked, the meter fills. Once it's full, Alyssa loses her cool and freaks out, arms flailing and freezes in terror at times. This mechanic makes the already frantic chases more intense. Not to worry, Alyssa comes with a deadly arsenal and movesets of throwing water, walking even slower. Yeah, good luck with that. And really? Squatting? I don't know, maybe she hits the clubs on the weekend. You also have items found throughout the levels to help you. There's lavender water, used to empty your panic meter, sigils, which absorb your next fatal hit, invisibility rings, well, that's self-explanatory, and various arrows used in the boss battles. Since Alyssa runs slower than Elastis and Winter, you use various evasion points and hiding spots to help escape, like in previous installments, though they can only be used once. At the end of stages, you engage in boss battles that change the game from a survival horror to an action game. The whole transition is unexpected and a little bizarre the first time it happens, like something out of Power Rangers.
Alright then, it's morphin' time!
You need to pin the bosses down with charged attacks, or you can wear them down the old-fashioned way, while avoiding attacks, but doing this takes forever and a day. The boss battles are repetitive as hell. Once you bind them once, you pretty much have them beat. Just dodge and fire a shot. That is until you face the later bosses, which can seem like a daunting task, as the difficulty curve ramps up, and Alyssa just doesn't have the reflexes to dodge their high-speed attacks. Being a Capcom game, it makes sense they reuse the same running controls as Devil May Cry and Resident Evil. But just like those games, when combined with pre-rendered backgrounds, spells frustration, as most of the time you're running the opposite direction on top of being chased. But I guess you can say that was the purpose, to make you feel vulnerable and disoriented, and if so, mission accomplished. The graphics are very detailed and well animated, making the cutscenes that much more gut-wrenching to watch. What I liked about the beginning of the game was how it used minimal background music, setting the mood of being utterly alone in this huge house. Then, as you progress, more music is used. But it wasn't subtle like the first half of the game. It was more chaotic and seemed random at times, killing what chilling atmosphere was left. The voice acting sadly isn't any better. Some of the supporting characters like the grandfather and mother are pretty adequate, but Alyssa and a Harry Potter reject that is Dennis are just annoying as the bosses. In the end, Clock Tower 3 is an average game, offering 4 to 7 hours pending your skill and patience level. If you go in with the mindset of getting some cheap scares and thrilling chases, then you're in for a fun time. But if you're expecting a deep story and engaging gameplay, better look elsewhere. Its cheap price of $5.99 might be enough to entice those who are curious, but its frustrating controls and repetitive boss battles are what sealed the deal for me. I give it a thumbs down.
If you don't believe me, you can go to hell and see for yourself!